Okay, this video is for Unit 3, Cycle 1, Level 2 Diamond. It covers writing linear equations in slope-intercept form, point-slope form, and standard form when you're given a point and a slope or when you're given 2 points. If you notice on the front page, it summarizes 2 of the previous videos that you should have already gone over. And that is if you're writing it in slope-intercept form, given a point and a slope, or slope-intercept form, given 2 points. And then also in this column, it's about point-slope form if you're given a point and a slope. And then again, point-slope form if you're given 2 points. So we're actually going to go over the standard form in this video, but you can reference the notes for the other problems that deal with y-intercept and point-slope. Okay, so this is the back of that page. All right. And you can see that standard form is ax plus by equals c. And we are going to go over writing the standard form when you're given a point and a slope first. So the first step is to substitute the given slope m and the given point x1, y1 into point slope form, where it is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, and then simplify the equation. The second step is to rewrite in standard form and make sure you put x and y on the same side. The third step is just to make sure a is positive. You will not always have to do the third step. Okay, so for the example, all right, when you're writing the equation in standard form, given a point of -2, 5, and a slope of 4. So what we're going to do is we are going to label this x1, comma, y1, and then, of course, slope is m, and in this case, the slope is 4. So when we substitute and simplify, I always like to make a list of what we know. We know, in this case, that slope is 4. We know that x1 is -2. That's this one right here. And then we know that y1 is 5. Okay, so now let's substitute. We have the equation y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, and when we substitute, we make sure that we're plugging these into the y1 spots, or plugging y1 into the y1 and x1 into the x1. So that gives us y minus, and then y1 is 5. So y minus 5 equals, and then m is 4, x minus x1, and x1 is -2. So you're going to have to make sure and write that as a positive. So let's rewrite that. We have y minus 5 equals 4 times x, double negative is a positive, so plus 2. All right, so now we have the equation in point-slope form. But we need to rewrite in standard form, okay, by distributing this 4 into the parentheses, and then the second step would be to write the equation sorry about that. Okay, so let's distribute first. Okay, so we have y minus 5 equals, and then when we distribute, we have 4 times x, that gives us 4x, and 4 times positive 2 gives us plus 8. Okay, so now in order to rewrite in standard form, we need to get the x and the y's on one side and everything else on the other. So I'm going to rewrite the equation. So we have y minus 5 equals 4x plus 8. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this 5, and we do that by adding 5 to both sides. And if you need to draw this line, it helps a lot of people just to stay organized and making sure that you're doing the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. Okay, so we add 5, this cancels. Y equals 4x, and then of course 8 plus 5 is 13, so that's a plus 13. But now we need to make sure and get this 4x on the same side as the y. So we're going to subtract 4x from both sides. So what that does is it gives us, and I'm going to continue this down here. Let me move this up. Okay, that gives us negative 4x plus y equals, and of course this 4x and minus 4x cancel. So all we have left on the right side of that equal sign is 13. But this third step, okay, the one that we don't always have to do where we need to make sure A is positive, we do actually have to do it in this problem. So in order to make sure A is positive, we just multiply everything by -1, and all we have to do is just change all the signs. So instead of negative, things are positive, and instead of positive, things become negative. So instead of negative 4x, because I multiply that by -1, it becomes positive 4x. Y times -1 becomes minus y. And then, of course, 13 times -1 is negative 13. And this right here would be your answer. Okay? So let's go to the other example of when you're given 2 points. All right. So in order to write the standard form of the equation when you're given 2 points, the first thing that you need to do is find the slope. And you can use this, you need to use the slope formula, and that's right here. Then after you find the slope, you need to substitute the slope in one of the points into the point slope form, just like we did on the other example. And then of course again simplify. Rewrite in standard equation, or in the standard equation form, and then again make sure A is positive. So really the only difference that we're doing here is instead of being given slope, we have to calculate slope. All right, so let's look at this example. Okay. So when we write the equation in standard form, writing the equation in standard form, given the points -1, 4, and 3, -4. So I'm going to label these points x1, comma, y1, because I'm just going to say that's point 2, or excuse me, point 1. And then this one is point 2. That's x2, y2. And it does not matter which one you choose to be point 1 and which one you choose to be point 2. You should end up with the same equation. Okay, so whenever you are doing this, of course, the first thing to do is find the slope. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Plugging those numbers in, or substituting, okay, you see that y2 is -4. So -4 minus y1, which is +4. Okay, over x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is -1. So -4 minus 4 gives us -8. And 3 minus a -1, it becomes 3 plus 1, and that gives us 4. So our slope is -2. All right, so in order to substitute and simplify, the first thing I'm going to do is make a list of things I know. I know that the slope is -2. I know that x1 is -1, and I know that y1 is 4. Okay, so all I need to do at this point is use the point slope formula and just substitute these things in. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so let's rewrite that with everything substituted. So we have y minus 4 equals, and I should have put a 1 right here where this y was, sorry about that. So we have y minus 4 equals m, which is the slope is -2, times x minus x1, and x1 is a -1. So make sure that whenever we rewrite this, you turn that to a positive because that's a double negative. And we're going to do that on this next step. So y minus 4 equals -2x or times x, and then double negative is positive, plus 1. And then so we're going to distribute on this next step. So we have y minus 4 equals -2x minus 2. And that's just taking this -2 times x, and then again with the distribution over here, -2 times 1 is -2. Okay, so bringing that equation down, simply going to rewrite it here, make sure everything is clear. We have y minus 4 equals -2x minus 2. We're going to rewrite this in standard form. And remember, in order to do that, we just need to make sure that the x and the y are on the left and everything else is on the right. So in order to get the x on the left side, we need to add 2x to both sides of this line right here, of the equal sign. Okay? So we end up with 2x plus y minus 4 equals, this cancels, -2. But we still need to get rid of this 4 right here. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. Okay, and I'm actually going to have to rewrite this right down here. Okay, so I have 2x plus y equals, and then -2 plus 4 is +2. And that is our answer. Because a, we don't have to do this last step, because the a value, which is 2, is already positive, so we do not need to multiply by -1. All right, so now you should have everything you need to do the assignment, which is stapled. There are 6 problems on this page, and if you have any questions, just make sure to let your teacher know.